Chapter 10. So Much Heat. Sammy was very worried about how his life would go without his dad. Before the funeral, he didn't really believe his dad was gone. He thought it was all just a made-up story that his mother had told him on New Year's Eve. But now that the story was true, he started to feel angry about a lot of things. On Monday morning, he was sleepily swirling his cereal and milk around the bowl. "Sammy," said Sammy, "why aren't you eating?" "I can't eat," said Sammy angrily, "and I couldn't sleep last night either." "Is this about Dad?" asked Sammy. "Ugh," groaned Sammy. "My life was better when he was here. Why did you even ask? I just can't stand it." "I was just asking you a question, young man," said Sammy firmly. "Don't get wise with me. I've been going through hard things too. I'm just as upset as you are." "Mom," groaned Sammy, "what am I going to do now?" "You are going to go to school and learn things," said Sammy while putting on her coat. "That's what you're going to do." "No, Mom," said Sammy, groaning more. "I mean, what am I going to do with my life?" "I don't know right now," said Sammy sharply. "We can discuss it later. Just eat your cereal and get to school." "Fine," said Sammy, louder than he had planned to. He started eating his cereal like a horse, only faster and with fury. After finishing, he stomped over to pick up his backpack and coat from the couch. "Mom, let's go," said Sammy, while fiercely putting his coat on. "I'm going to be late." "Chill, Sammy," said Sammy firmly. "Let me get your sister warm." Sammy put Lucy in her baby coat and wrapped up a blanket around. Sammy stopped outside to the car on the driveway. He slipped and fell on the icy sidewalk. "Ugh!" groaned Sammy. "I hate this!" He punched the snow with his bare hand. "I'm so mad at winter now. I just wish there was never winter." He growled with his teeth clenched in his mouth. "Samuel Calvin Kind," said Sammy, after clicking a button from her keys. "Get in the car and calm down." Sammy stood up from the icy walk and slowly but angrily walked to the other side of the car and climbed in. Sammy brought baby Lucy in her car seat to the back seat of the car and clicked her in next to Sammy. Baby Lucy was crying, but Sammy was so upset that he ignored his little sister. After clicking the baby, Sammy climbed into the driver's seat. She started the car and pulled out of the driveway. Sammy and his mother didn't talk much on the way to school. They just sat in angry silence. The only sounds were hearing baby Lucy constantly sucking her pacifier. At times when Lucy started to cry, Sammy just snarled. "Will you be quiet, sissy?" "Samuel Calvin Kind," cried Sammy. "Be nice to your sister. She's just a baby." "Well, babies should learn to stop crying," said Sammy angrily. "It's giving me a headache." "Don't make me stop this car and have you walk the rest of the way to school," said Sammy, even more angrily. "Maybe that's what I'd rather do," mumbled Sammy. But once he said that, they pulled into the drop-off area of the school parking lot, where there were other cars lined up to drop off kids. Sammy unbuckled his seatbelt and picked up his backpack. "Maybe we need to get a counselor to help you," said Sammy calmly. Sammy screamed. He quickly opened the door, got out, and slammed the door behind him. Sammy opened the passenger window. "I'll see you after school, Sammy," she called. "I love you." Sammy growled, and he didn't look back. He just walked toward the entrance of the school. During recess, Sammy was sitting on a very cold bench while angrily watching other kids playing on the playground. He saw his friend Flicker trudging through the snow towards him. "Hi, Sammy," said Flicker while he was still walking. "Aren't you cold sitting here?" "No," Sammy muttered. "I'm fine where I'm sitting." "Is something wrong?" Flicker asked. "I don't want to talk about it," muttered Sammy. "Why not?" asked Flicker. "I'm your best friend. Why won't you tell me?" "Just leave me alone, please," he said. "Okay," said Flicker with a shrug. Then he walked away. 1 minute later, Spike came over to Sammy with a grin. "Hi, Sammy," he drawled rudely. "How is your daddy doing?" "Oh, wait, you don't know how he's doing because he's gone." He laughed and a stream of smoke came out of his mouth. "Go away, Spike," said Sammy with a mutter. Spike picked up a handful of snow. "Sounds like someone is so mad he's hot." He walked around the bench with a handful of snow. "I said go away," Sammy said again, through clenched teeth. "Maybe a little bit of snow ought to cool you down." He dropped the snow into the hood of Sammy's coat and pulled it over his head. Snow scattered all over Sammy, and his head burned from the cold. His eyes started to water. "Ugh!" said Sammy with a growl. "You jerk!" He got up from the bench and dashed toward Spike, who started to run. Sammy caught up to Spike and tackled him in the snow like a football player. "Ugh!" screamed Spike. Sammy started to wrestle with Spike in the snow. A bunch of other kids gathered around the struggling duo. "How dare you say things like that to me?" said Sammy furiously. "How dare you chase me like that, Sammy Blind?" said Spike angrily. Then they started shouting insulting names at each other, clenching their fists. "Spiky Redhead, Four Eyes, Yellow Eyes, Goody Goody turned Batty Batty, Batty Batty turned Worsey Worsey, Kind Snob, Scarecrow Nitwit, Little Mad Pie, Dirty Bully." "What's going on here?" asked Mrs. Frez. She pushed her way through the crowd of kids and saw Spike and Sammy wrestling on the snowy ground. "Sammy! Spike!" shouted Mrs. Frez. She leaned down and grabbed them, one in each hand. "You two break it up!" Sammy was still shaking with anger, and it looked like Spike was feeling the same way. "Boys," said Mrs. Frez, firmly clenching the back collars of their coats, "what is the meaning of this?" "He started it, Mrs. Frez," said Sammy, pointing at Spike. "He stuffed snow down my coat." "No, I didn't," Spike quickly said. "He chased me while I was building a snowman." "Liar, liar, hair on fire," said Sammy, trying to get back at Spike. "Knock it off, you two," snapped Mrs. Frez. Spike and Sammy froze after hearing Mrs. Frez shout through the quiet snow. It made all the other kids step back. "I don't know how this really happened, but both of you will have to go to the principal's office, starting right now." She firmly but calmly took Sammy and Spike back inside the school. Later, after school, Sammy was impatiently waiting with the other classmates for his mom to pick him up from the drop-off. After seeing Senny's car, he stomped towards it and got in the back seat and onto his booster. "Samuel Calvin Kind," said Senny, after a few minutes on the road, "I got a call from the principal and Mrs. Frez about what you did today. I'm very disappointed in you." Lucy was asleep in her car seat next to him. "I never expected you to have such a tantrum that you would tackle a kid like that," said Senny. I'll bet Spike's parents are upset with him for fighting with you, but he's not my son to deal with. You are. Mom, said Sammy with a mutter. He started it. He may have started insulting you, but you started the real fight. Sammy faced forward in his booster seat so he could see Senny's face. But it wasn't my fault, he said, with an innocent yet guilty tone. I'm not discussing any further whose fault it really was, but I'm afraid you're responsible for what happened, and it's time you took responsibility for what you've done. Sammy, I think it's really time I signed you up for school counseling. Chances are, Spike might be signed up for that too, and then both of you will get to know each other much better. I already got to know him, Mom, said Sammy through gritted teeth. He's a jerk, and he thinks I'm a freak who is too kind. Sammy, sighed Senny, I'll tell you this. Some kids, like Spike, just have a hard time understanding other kids who are new and different, and that can make them a bit jealous of those kids. Jealous? Asked Sammy unbelievably. What do you mean jealous? I mean, a lot of kids would wish to be like you because they might think you have a better life, said Senny calmly. But being jealous of someone is never a good thing because it can make you feel so mad all the time and you just want to try to get even with that certain person. It might seem like it would make you happier to get even with someone, but that's just asking for more trouble. It's a possibility that's what Spike's been doing ever since we moved here, and you try to be friends with him. So, said Sammy, trying to understand, are you saying that that's the way that Spike is trying to show how he feels about me, even when he's always being mean to me when all I tried to do was be kind to him? Exactly, said Senny. I was actually very proud of you for trying to be friends with him on that day and throughout. But I wasn't very proud when you started that fight with him today. Well, I'm sorry, Mom, said Sammy sarcastically. I just don't like it when other kids say mean things to me about my life, especially about losing Dad. Spike was the only one who made you feel bad, said Senny. But were other kids making you feel bad? Not that I know of, said Sammy. Well, that settles it, said Senny, as soon as she pulled the car into the driveway. Spike was the only one being mean to you. Well then, said Sammy, I don't want Spike to be my friend anymore, because he's always going to make me feel bad about my life. Senny parked the car and turned off the engine. I know that you're feeling frustrated with Spike for mistreating you like that, said Senny, but you do have a choice. What choice? Asked Sammy with a grunt. Listen, you can either give Spike another chance to be your friend, or you can always have him bullying you. But I already made my decision. After that phone call from the principal, I signed you up for counseling. Hopefully that'll help you calm down with your friends again. You know what? Said Sammy angrily, while unbuckling his seatbelt and opening the door. I don't want to be friends with Spike. In fact, I don't want to be friends with anybody anymore. I'm not even a kind son. This whole kind family thing is too hard. He slammed the door right in front of baby Lucy, who woke up crying. He stomped on the shoveled sidewalk towards the front door. Senny got out of the car in frustration and picked up baby Lucy, who was crying louder. Don't give me that attitude, said Senny angrily, as soon as she got on the porch with baby Lucy and unlocked the door. That is not the kind of son I plan on raising. Or maybe you should just have Lucy Moosey as your only kind child then. Because with Dad gone, I don't want to be the only boy in this family. That's enough, shouted Senny once they got through the front door. I will not have you talk to me like that, young man. Go to your room now. He pointed towards the stairs. Fine, shouted Sammy. I don't want to talk to you anyway. I hate my life. It's so stupid. With a glare, He stomped right up the stairs towards his bedroom and slammed the door behind him. What did I do to deserve this? He thought angrily. My life is not the way I wanted it. My life back in New York would have been much better than here in Utah. If Mom, Lucy, and I would have stayed there, Dad would still be with us. I just wish I had never come here. Now Mom has me signed up for school counseling, whatever that is. And now I don't even know if I have friends. Maybe I'm better off alone. He threw his backpack on his bedroom floor and belly flopped onto his bed and screamed into the pillow.